program a DIT ba kan ne bayani sai wasu mutane sun ce fa sun ga wata dan jaridar muke tare sun ce an ce an ga wata fa watan nan saboda haka ya kamata mai da ita baya sun ce yau su suka ganta suka ce ran laraba shi ran laraba talata wato sun ganta a sama sai to ai shi yasa in dai ya shiga din to dole a ganta da girma kuma a sama in ba a ganta a sama ba a ganta da girma ba to ranar ma ba 30 bane kuma akwai matsala sai mu koma maganan mai muktasar khalil yake faɗi idan mutum bai suka ga wata mai sharhi jawahirul kalim aka dauki azumi aka kirga 29 aka fita ba a ga wata ba ranan 30 sama a inda rana ta faɗi ba hazo ba komai aka fita ba a ga wata ba she kuzziba wadda mutanen dole a ƙaryata su ce wasima wahid ko ihda wa 30 wujuban ce dole ne a yi azumi 31 saboda bayyuwa wata yi 30 kuma a daren 30 din bayan faduwar rana ba girgije ba komai ya ɓoyo a addinance a ilimin da Abdullahi bin Abbas sai muka sauka a wani wuri da ake kira batun nakhla wato karkacin nakhla qala ra'ayna al-hilal sai muka ga wata ba nazumi kawai ba qala ba'd al-qawm wasu daga cikin mutanen da muke tare da su sai suke faɗi wannan wata fa ibn talafin dan kwana uku ne saboda girmansa da bisansa da yadda ya daga wa qala ba'd al-qawm wasu kuma suka ce huwa ibn laylatayn dan kwana biyu ne ce falaqina ibn abbas tun daga habarul umma wanda annabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam Allahumma faqihu fi din wa allimhu at-ta'wil matashi wanda yake tare da tabawa duk zama a zamanin Umar sai muka ce to ai gashi nan mu same shi mana fa qulna inna ra'ayna al-hilal ya ibn abbas mun ga wata fa wasu na cewa dan kwana uku wasu ce dan kwana biyu sai ke faɗi ayya lailatin ra'aytumuhu yau ne wani dare kuka ganshi sai ce daren jiya muka ganshi sai Abdullahi bin Abbas yake faɗi qala lailatu kaza wa kaza fa qala inna rasulullahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala inna allaha amaddahu lirru'ya fa huwa lil-lailati ra'aytumu Allah madaukin sarki ya girmama watan ne ya daga shi sama don ku gani shi na wannan daren da kuka gansa kada ku komar da shi baya don girma kaga kenan idan muna da wannan masu fatawan ashabbai sun yi wannan sun samu malamin fiqhu ya ba su amsa daga bakin manzon Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallama sun miƙa wuya sun ce dan dare ranan daren ne amma mu muna su dinga fitowa da girma mutum ya ganci a dare yau ya dauka dan dare biyu ne ko dan dare uku wanda haka muke yi mafi yawa yanzu wanda bayanin da nace mu yi da wancan malami wannan yana daga cikin shi ma a kula da wannan a karanta nassoci da suka yi bayani akan wata maganganun malamai da suka yi bayani akan tafiyar wata maganganun annabi sallallahu alaihi wa sallam a gaba shine a nan ma hadisin da muka fi kafa hujja da shi akan cewa bai kamata a yi bincike ba in wani ce ya ga wata ko kuma ai da an ce mutum ɗaya ya gaita kawai a ɗauka shi ne hadisi Abdullahi bin Abbas da aka ce wani mutum da ƙauye ya zo wajen annabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam shi inni ra'aytu al-hilal sai annabi kira Bilal ce a tashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anni rasulullah kana shaidawa babu mutuwa da gaskiya sai Allah ni ko yanzun Allah ne sai ce masa sai annabi ce Bilal ka je ka sanar da mutane cewa ayi azumi a gobe wannan shine hadisin da muka fi amfani da shi idan muka kalli a bangaren malaman hadisi malam murtaba yana ciki yana nan yana zaune hadisi ne wanda yake a malaman hadisi ne da'if imam abu dawud ya rawaito wannan hadisi imam tirmidhi ya rawaito hadisi imam an-nasai ya rawaito hadisi ibnu majah ya rawaito hadisi darimi ya rawaito hadisi ibnu jarir ya rawaito hadisi ibnu hibban ya rawaito hadisi imam tahawi ya rawaito hadisi daraqutni ya rawaito hadisi baihaqi da hakim dukkan su in ka kula hadisi ne da'if la taqumu bihi hujja ba a iya amfani da irin wannan hadisi a kafa hujja akan wani abu na shari'a don hadisi ne daga ikrama daga simak daga abdullahi bin abbas sai a wata riwaya an ikrama an simak an annabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam simak tabi'i ne bai ga annabi ba sai ce annabi ya faɗa waye tsakanin shi da annabi malaman hadisi suna so su san wannan mutumin ba gano shi ba har yanzu to sai suka ce hadisi ne da'if kamar yadda Muhammad Nasiruddin Albani ya fara cikin littafin sa Irwaul Ghalil shafi na 2 a wannan matsalan to mu dauka hadisi ya inganta daidai ne shikenan annabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam da yake gaya ma wannan mutumin a tashhadu an la ilaha illallah sai mu dauka a ranan ne mutumin zai musulunta babu annabi yana ƙara tabbatarwa domin Allah ya yadda da wannan mutumin abin da ya faɗa daidai ne gaskiya ne kuma musulmi ne ba ƙarya yayi ba ba yaudaran annabi zai yi ba sai tambaye shi ka shaida babu an bauta da gaskiya sai Allah ce lallai na shaida ni manzon Allah ne lallai na shaida to duk wani mai binciken wani bai kai wannan bincike na annabi a gaban Allah ba domin inda mutumin ƙarya yayi ko bai shaida ba sai mu koma baya da munafikai suka ce idza ja'aka al-munafiquna qalu nashhadu innaka la rasulullah wallahu ya'lamu innaka la rasuluhu wallahu yashhadu innal munafiqina lakadibun da Allah ya karanta shi a gaban annabi don ba a tabbatar ma annabi akan kuskure dalilin tambayan mutumin nan don inda ma hadisin ya inganta kina ala fardu sihhatihi sai ce to ga wani kuma shaida daga Allah ya tabbatar da mutumin nan mutumin kirki ne kuma abin da ya faɗa gaskiya ne don in ba haka bane sai abin da ya faɗa ma wayancan mutanen shi ma ya faɗa masa Allah ce ƙarya yake bai shaida kamar zuwa Allah bane ko kuma bai ga abin da yake cewa ya gani ba to hadisi ma bai inganta ballanta mu kawo wannan na kawo wannan ne don idan ma muka ce hadisi ya inganta sai maganar shekul islam yaushe ake kiran wata na yi bayani a baya wata zai iya fitowa ya kai awa 30 zai yi a ganshi amma a yi hadari ba ga watan ba gobe ya fito za mu kira shi watan jiya ne sai ke faɗi a nan alhilal wal hilalu innama yakunu hilalan idza istahallahu nasu wata yana zama wata ne in idanun mutane suka ganshi wa idza tala'a idan watan ya fito walam yastahilluhu mutane ba su ga watan ba to falaysa bihilali wannan ba wata bane saboda addini ba amfani da shakka ko gaibu sai yaqini mu kuma an ba mu fa in kunna alaikum fa'addu 30 wannan shi ake tafiya a kansa wannan wuce wannan wurin maganan Sheikhul Islam a gaba yake bayani akan wayannan mas'aloli shine kusan ƙarshe ko ya wuce a tambaya da yake faɗi wata bayyuwa ya yi kwana 28 ko kuma kwana 31 ce duk wanda yake tunanin haka to lallai mutumin nan ghalib ne ya yi abin da ke kira galat shi ne kamar bai ma san abin da yake faɗi ba ce wata al'ada da Allah maɗaukakin sarki ya sanya wata yana da lissafi sananne shine wa zalika ma ajara Allah alaihi amrahu bil layli wan nahari والشتاء والصيف وسائر ما يتبع جريان الشمس والقمر وذلك من آيات الله سيكا وآية وكما أن العادة أجراها الله التي أجراها الله تعالى أن الهلال لا يستهل إلا ليلة 30 أو 31 با سامو متى سيرانا درن 30 شيء 29 wanda gobe 30 ne ko kuma ranan daren 30 wanda yake shine gobe 31 shine za a ga jinjin wata ce wannan shine al'adan da Allah madaukakin sarki ya sanya wanda yake tunanin wata kuma yace masanan tafiyar wata zai iya baka labari za a ga wata fi yaumi a rana ta kaza ko kuma a rana ta kaza bi ma'ana zaka iya cewa 29 na wannan watan da muke ciki za a iya ganin watan Ramadana ko kuma 20 ba za a iya ganin watan 29 ba sai 30 abin da Sheikhul Islam yake faɗi a nan kenan ce zai yi wanda ya san tafiyar wata ya baka ranan da za a ga watan zai yi a ganta ko kuma ba za a ganta ba saboda ya san lissafi kuma ana sanin lissafi ce bi ma'rifati ma mada da sanin watan baya lissafin sa 29 domin wasu akwai shekaran da na sani an zo an ce mana 28 an ga wata sun zo ne muna yi itikafi wani masallaci aka zo ne Amir a wannan lokaci suka ce lalle sai yi sallah suka turo motoci guda biyu mu zo a dauke mu akai mu Kaduna Polytechnic a nuna mana wanda suka ga wata a ranar 28 kuma abin mamaki wa'annan mutanen a ranar tun tashi da sallah washe gari wanda a Najeriya washe gari shine 29 su yi sallah a wasu shekaru a Kaduna nan ya faru wannan ba labari aka bani ba na san wannan to kaga shi ne maganar Sheikhul Islam kenan bayyuwa wata ya kasa 29 bayyuwa kuma ya karu akan 30 shine maganar mai abin nan mai sunan samai muktasar magana ta biyu idan mutum ya ce ya ga wata aka bincika aka kai ma wanda ya kamata su sanar da wata suka ce ba za su ɗauki wannan maganan ba saboda kasancewarsa shi ɗaya ne a mazhaban malikiya sai an samu adalai ne kuma wannan shine malaman suke tafiya ce to wannan mutumin a muktasar Khalil shi wajibi ne shi ya dauki azumi idan ya samu irin malam Usman wanda yake bin diddigin tafiyar wata kullum sai ya ba shi labari ce malam Usman ni fa yau na fita na ga wata ce to malam Usman yana ce a'a bai yadda ba saboda ni ma na yana wa ijtihadin na fita ban ga wata ba zan dauka ba tunda sarki ya bai yadda ba idan amma ya samu irin malam Murtaba wanda baya fita baya neman wata yana jira ne a sanar kawai ya dauka to wajibinsa ne shi ya dauki azumi saboda khabar yaqin ne wannan ya ga wata shi wajibinsa ya dauka kuma wanda ya ba labari wanda muqallidi ne to dole ya dauka domin mutum biyu ne ko muqallidi ko kuma mujtahidi to Usman mujtahidi ne shi yasa yake dauka shari'a ta ba shi wannan daman wannan kuma muqallidi ne dole shi ya dauka ta da ya samu labari to wannan al'amura su kansu ya kamata mu san su domin wasu sukan ce idan aka ba da labarin mutum ganin daya bayyuwa tambaye shi bayyuwa kaza to wannan yana daga cikin matsalolin da muke fuskanta a abin da ya shafi ganin wata akwai al'amura masu yawa da misalai wanda zan iya badawa don ni zan ce kamar mun binciki wurare da yawa da aka ce an ga wata muka gano ba watan aka gani ba wani tatsuniya ne za a bamu shi yasa muka ga wannan kungiya tamu dole ne mu tsaya mu yi bayani ma mutane don su gane kuma kamar yadda mai bayani na gaba yake faɗi sarakunan mu masu albarka masu alfarma dole ne su tsaya ilmantar da mutane akan lokutan sallah da kuma abin da ya shafi ganin wata sun yi bayani salloli biyu da suka bata minti biyu da suka ce ana samun sabani a wurinsu ana yin su kafin lokaci la'asar da isha'i daga binciken da na sai na gano a ce abin da ya sa ake sabani wannan salloli wani abu ne da yake bukatan ilimi mai zaman kansa mu kuma a Najeriya mun accepting wannan ilimi mun ƙi karɓansa saboda faɗuwar rana kowa yana gani ba a sabani wajen sallar magariba kowa yana yakan lokaci la'asar yana bukatan ƙarin lokaci a ƙarin ilimi babu da shi sai muka ce ba mu yadda da cewa la'asar ba ta yi ba sai mu yi ta kowane lokaci assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh
Malam Sani Muhammad Yakub kenan da bayani akan batun ganin wata to yanzu sai na turanci amma kafin nan akwai abin nan Dr. Haruna Ibrahim Aliyu daga Almanar Foundation shi ma yana cikin wanda suka zo wannan waje yanzu sai Professor Usman Al-Nafati alhamdulillah tunda professor ne shi abin ma da ya zo da sauki saboda su cikin minti biyu ma suna iya summarizing abin da su dan tace komai ma kawai a wuce. He's going to present his own paper in English, The Sharia and Astronomical Views of Moon Sighting in English by Professor Usman Al-Nafati. And being a professor, I think we don't have to worry. We just within a minute or two, we'll be through.
How much time do I have?
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Inshallah.
You gave Sheikh. So if you took 10 minutes.
No, it would. I wouldn't mind if it doesn't elongated 5 minutes.
Do you need to reboot? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. In view of the time constraints, I wish to request for permission to stand on existing protocols and just go straight into the topic of the lecture today, which is on Sharia and astronomical views on moon sighting. Alhamdulillah, the brother Sheikh Saleh has done more than justice, I can say, to the topic. And if not because of the promise to deliver the speech in English, and if not because some of us here who have problem in Hausa, I would have just thanked everybody and sat down. Okay, because I think he has done enough. Anyway, so because of the time, let me just rush. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going briefly over the following introduction of the Ummah, the challenge, importance of astronomy to Muslims, sun and moon in the Quran, moon sighting issues past and present, some basis of astronomy, and criteria for crescent visibility, why do we have different lunar calendars, moon sighting in different countries, and then conclusions. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun wa atasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. All you who believe, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and guide not the expect in this group of iman, and hold fast all together to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be not disunited. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects all Muslims to be united. This picture shows a little bit of that unity. How many colors do we have here? How many tribes? How many ethnic groups? But we all here combined for one particular thing. Maybe it's in Umrah, in Ramadan, or maybe it could be in Hajj. But we are all united despite all our colors. And this is the kind of spirit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to exhibit in all aspects of Islam. And then here, what does, okay, I think it's a translation of the previous ayah. Let's progress. Now, some fundamentals. This is a hadith Qudsi, where the Prophet ﷺ says, Inna Allah Azza wa Jal qal, Man adali waliyan faqad azantuhu bil-harb. Wa ma taqarraba ilayya abdi bi shay'in ahabba ilayya mimma aftaradtuhu alayhi. The servant will not get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than what is compulsory on him. So this is the only way to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is on what is fard on you. Then after that, you can continue to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but on the sunnah. But the most important is the fard. And Ramadan and fasting, okay, is one of the issues where you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there has to be unity in this aspect of Ramadan. Now, yes, we are united, but sometimes we can have some diversity in the unity. For example, in Salah times, every country has its own Salah time. For example, by now in Saudi Arabia, they have already prayed Zuhur, maybe even getting to Asr. If you are in Malaysia, by now maybe they have finished Isha time. That doesn't mean disunity, because the time is different for every country. Okay, so the same thing even in Salah here, even in Nigeria, some cities pray different times than others. For example, the time in Maiduguri is not the same as time in Lagos, even though it's the same country. So there are some these differences that are allowed. In fact, even in the same city, the time must A pray Zuhur may not necessarily be the same as must be praised. But all the same, these are all allowable domains of differences. Okay? So we are united in some differences. Now the same thing in Ramadan. The hadith we have read or have been read to us is that the month of Ramadan or every lunar month can be either 29 days or 30 days. Not more. It cannot be 28, it cannot be 31. So even if there is going to be a difference in the month of Ramadan across the whole globe, it cannot be more than 2 days. Some places can see it today, some people can see it tomorrow. Okay? But what happened in Ramadan in 2005? Can you imagine? Starting Ramadan, Nigeria started on 3rd of October. Saudi Arabia, some Middle East countries started on 4th of October. Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia on 2nd of October. And Bangladesh, India, Pakistan on 6th of October. Same year. 4 different days. And Allah says it's either 29 or 30. You can't have more than 2 days. So there is definitely a problem. We cannot be all correct. If Wednesday, Nigeria, Thursday, Saudi Arabia, and Friday, South and rest, Saturday, Northern India, and so on and so forth. Okay? Again, different days. It's not possible for all to be correct. So there must be a problem. And as you can see here, Nigeria, in both cases, is in the forefront. And maybe that's why they say when they joke to us, please don't bring the month of Nigeria for us here. Because it's like we have different moon specifically for Nigeria. No, and as a matter of fact, there's one brilliant doctor who wrote a very long paper, okay, to establish that Nigeria were in a certain unique position on the globe that allow us to be seeing the moon earlier than others. Okay. Well, I think it was his own opinion, but nothing. So anyway, this shows definitely there is a problem. There has to be a problem somewhere. So who is right and who is wrong? Okay? It's not a question of argument. It's not a question of fighting. We have to go down to the problem and see where the problem lies. And most of it, I believe, is due to lack of knowledge or due to lack of experience. To differentiate between what is astronomy and astrology. Because nowadays, if you try to talk to people about astronomy, a lot of people feel uneasy about it. In fact, some people fear studying astronomy. Don't go up. Don't go into the heavens. Don't go into sun, moon, and stars, because it's a kind of ulumul ghaib and some danger, or you may even lose your faith and so on and so forth. Okay, these are great bodies that you should not, dare to go and see. But actually, Allah told us, the sun and the moon and the stars are all creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't have life of their own. In fact, they are like ayahs to us. So we can study them. Yeah. There's definitely a difference between astronomy and astrology. Astronomy, as the brother said earlier, is ilmu tasyir. What is happening? How do they move? When does the sun rise? When does it fall? That's it. No problem with that. But once you start to attach movement of stars to effect of people, okay, if you are born on this day, your star is so and so, you will be the most successful on Wednesday. Don't go out, don't travel on Thursday because of this and this, your star is going to. So this ilm of predicting things or joining stars with people's behavior, this is astrology and this is not allowed in Islam. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ once said, anybody who goes to the kahin and believes him in what he says, he has made kufr of what Prophet ﷺ brought. So, because of that, astronomy is okay, simple knowledge like any science, but astrology is not allowed. I think I will skip this as they have already been meant to us as to the importance of the movement of the moon and the calendars and so on and so forth. Okay, the only thing I want to mention here is that 4 out of 5 pillars of Islam rely on movement of the sun and the moon. Sun fixed salah times, and the moon fixed all the other 3, fasting, hajj, and zakat. So therefore, as previous, very, very important to learn about this movement so that you do your ibadat correctly. Because if you start fasting on the wrong day, you're going to get the reward. If you shoot and go beyond what is expected of you, it's going to be wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set his rules, and you have to abide by them in order for the acts to be accepted. You are not the one to choose what you want to do. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who chooses what to do. Therefore, by fixing ibadat with the sun and the moon, is a great homework for Muslims. Because you just can't go out and pray like that. You have to do as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So in fact, sometimes I imagine, before the advent of clocks, how did people used to know the zawal? Did they come out to look, crossing from the east to the west? Or they have some specific people? They calculate the Asr time. Now we have the clocks, right? 4 o'clock, whatever, or 1:30, whatever you pray. But what about those people before the advent of the clocks? Okay, it used to be a job for the muazzin to really sit down, calculate, establish it that it is zuhur time before he makes the adhan. Unfortunately now, we have thrown it away, and we have less contact with that. Okay. Again, ayahs, I will just roughly go there where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about sun and moon. Okay. Now, I have few points that I want us to ponder. Number one, there's an ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, inna fi khalqi samawati wal ard la ayatin li ulil albab alladhina yadhkuruna Allah qiyaman wa qu'udan wa yatafakkaruna fi khalqi samawati wal ard rabbana ma khalaqta hadha batilan subhanaka faqina adhaban nar. Okay, it is here. Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ard wa ikhtilafi al-layli wan nahar la ayatin li ulil albab alladhina yadhkuruna Allah qiyaman wa qu'udan. So the point I'm trying to ask here is that those who are ulul albab are the ones who do this. يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. The question I'm saying here is that, honestly, let's assess ourselves. How many of us belong to this ulul albab? How many times really have you sat down to think about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the heaven and the earth? Very few. Let's be frank. We are all busy with our day-to-day affairs. The politicians are in the politics, the professors are with the students, okay. Other leaders are attending to problems of the society and so on and so forth. Traders are in their shops, mechanics and so on and so forth, doctors in the hospitals, but ulul albab, not many. Okay, and we should be, because they are ayah to us. Okay, so majority simply go about their daily routines, leaders, civil servants, traders, preachers, and so on and so forth. Each one is engaged in his own pursuit. So I have a little quiz here. For example, how many of us really know the lunar month in Islam, in Arabic? Maybe in this group we may know, but to be honest, go out and ask people. You will be surprised, not many people will name them for you, both the young and the old. Why? It's not a business to most of us. Lunar date. How many of us really follow lunar according to the lunar month? You know January, February. But when you ask Shaban today, even now if you go out, try. What is Shaban today? They will not know. Okay, because we have all left it. When did you last time look for a new moon? Yeah, that we are supposed to look for the moon every month. We are not doing it. Okay. So there are so many issues. You see that in nature there are fixed and predictable issues, and there are things which are variable. And alhamdulillah, the issue of solar movement and the stars fixed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is these fixed things that Allah asks us to use for our worship. He didn't ask us to, use things that are not predictable. The sun is always there. You can measure it. The moon is there. You can follow it. And so, all major things by the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are tied to fixed events. Okay? Now, issue of moon sighting, past and present. Alhamdulillah, the previous speakers has told us that discussions are not new. The same problems we are facing now actually have been faced before. And this is just from fatwa of Al-Afrikiy. Okay. Now let me just go for the next one here. Yeah. Here, for example, look at the okay. And there is no doubt that some of those who testifies and has a miscalculation something and what his eyes make him see what actually doesn't see. He will deliver the testimony after days and errors occurs with respect to the actual night, and he has seen something. Or his ignorance is so grave that it leads him to believe that there is a reward in him driving the people to start fast. Or he might be one of those who aims at establishing his trustworthiness so that he will then be taken as means to be given. So this was Bastaqi ad-Din Abdul Kafi al-Subki, who lived 683 to 7856, 680 years ago. This is the same problem our brother just said. Ya Allah ka nuna min wata ko, ni ma zan yi alfahari, I will be also proud of that. This is exactly what I mentioned 680 years ago. So the problem has been there all along. Once you stop practicing the regular moon sighting, you end up with these problems. Okay, this is also an example, but anyway, to show you in astronomy, okay, go to the textbooks of astronomy, even in the Western world. This Al-Bayruni, and so on. These are all well-known astronomers whose textbooks are still valid until this time. And of course, they did a lot of work, which there's no time to go through. Okay, now let me make a few remarks about the universe in general. Not more than one sun, because I mean this may look so clear, but you may be surprised that some people may think that every day it is a new sun that comes. Actually, there's only one sun. Okay, every day there is sunrise and sunset. Every day. Moon, Al-Qamar, and that is why in the whole Quran you always hear about Shams, but never Ashmas. Or what is the plural of Shams? If somebody knows, I don't know. Shumuz go. Okay, you don't hear about Shumuz or Ashmas. Okay, it's only just Shams. The same thing, Qamar, always Al-Qamar. You never hear Qamar. Okay, but of course there is Masharik and Magharib. Okay, Mashriqain wa Abul Maghribain. All these things are there. But as far as Qamar, there are only one. And also every moon rise, and there's also moon set. You may know it, you may not know it, but every day moon rises and moon sets. Planets are solid bodies. Okay, stars are burning lamps in the heavens. So there's difference between planet and stars. Planets are bodies, and while stars are actually burning. Okay, and even Sabah Samawat that we are talking, they're not as planets, because we hear a lot of arguments. Some people are saying, Allah said there are Sabah Samawat, but we have 9 planets. So there's contradiction there. Who told you that planets are heavens? Okay, they're not the same. Okay, and then finally, every universe is in motion. Okay, so a brief picture here about the sun, okay, the moon and the earth. Okay, now the moon constantly revolves around the sun in 1 month, and then the earth together with the moon, they revolve the sun in 1 year. Okay, so when the moon, as it revolves around the sun, it comes here exactly between the sun and the earth. This is what we call the mahak, or the conjunction. This is what we call the, if you hear people moon bath or hive one water, this is what we are talking here. That is just crosses here and then moves to the next month, because it takes 1 month to go round. So when it's at the other end, the whole moon will now be full light or full moon. So here, first beginning of the moon, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. This is how it moves. Okay, and of course here when it moves, it is very small, but it goes round. It increases its size until it reaches this point when it is the largest. And so, if an eclipse is going to occur, it's going to be when the moon is between the sun and the earth. So if the line is straight, the moon covers the sun, and you can have either total eclipse or partial eclipse. On the other hand, if the earth is between the sun and the moon, then you have the lunar eclipse. Okay, this happens toward the middle of the. So these are just basic things that we need to know. Now, what determines visibility of the crescent? Sometimes we say visibility is possible, and sometimes they say visibility is not. Anyway, there are four main aspects that are said by the specialists to determine the age. So age of the moon, that is after the conjunction, how many hours? Okay. They say that from the observation they have been making all around the globe, at least the moon should be 17 hours or more. That's the minimum. Then elongation. This is the separation between the sun and the moon. So if they are too close, the moon, the brightness of the sun will not allow the crescent to be visible. Okay, but you should have some distance so that the brightness of the sun will not affect. So the minimum here is 8 degrees. Altitude is above the horizon. How high is it above the horizon? Okay, this one you need a minimum of 10 degrees, and then time lag between the sunset and moonset. First the sun will set, and after that the moon will set. However, even if all these factors are in place, you still need to be lucky that it is clear, because if there are rains or clouds, however big the crescent is, it may not be seen. Okay, this is not very good. Some pictures of early crescent. Unclear photo. Even this one actually. Can you see the crescent on this one? What about this one here? Who's blood? Okay. Yeah. What about here? At least this one. This one is clear. Okay. This is about 24 hours. This one, no, actually, it's unfortunate. Can you see from? Yeah, it's clearer there. I think it's a bit far for my eyes to see from here. But those who are close, it's not me. It's the audience. I want to show them that if they can see the crescent from, it's too. But when you go closer, you'll see. But for this one, for example, you see, if you see something, this one here, this is where the crescent is, and this is after 22 hours. This one is around here, if you can see. All right, and this is 23 hours. So if 23 hours is this small, and 22 hours is this small, you can imagine even the 17 hours is going to be much smaller. So that is why we say sometimes after the conjunction takes place, we should allow some time for the human eye to see. If you use telescope or some binoculars, you may be able to see, because it's going to bring it closer. But in the hadith, we are supposed to use our eyes. So even though you know that using some instruments, you may see it, we are not allowed to use the instruments. We normally use the eye. So you have to wait until it really becomes visible to the ordinary human eye before we can pass. Okay. Now, why different? Okay. Basically, calendar you do, because solar calendars, no problem. It's always the lunar calendars that we have problems. They are different. You see, calendar this at that different thing. So it depends on the criteria used to start the month. Okay. So, for example, some countries or some people believe that you have to wait until the moon is seen by the eye before you can start counting, and this sighting is only seen around Maghrib time, not in the daytime. So you have to wait until it is seen before you can start counting. So for example, if today the moon is sighted, we can start counting tomorrow according to these countries. Okay. Now some people said no, since we know when the sun and when the moon is going to set. Okay. So at the end of the month, when the new moon is born, so long as the sun set before the moon, it means the moon is on the horizon when the sun set. So finish. Even if you don't see it, you can start fasting tomorrow. And it's one of those countries in Egypt and the Middle East. You may be surprised, of course, but their criteria is, the conjunction must happen before sunset, and the sun must set before the moon. Once that is satisfied, you start the lunar month, even if you have not seen the moon. And that is why, even on their website, they advise that the calendar of Saudi Arabia is not strictly religious, because religious means we have to see it, but the calendar doesn't depend on seeing. Okay, so it's only usually around Ramadan and Shawwal and Dhul Hijjah. That is when they emphasize that put aside the calendar, now let's go to the religious requirements. Okay, unfortunately, many people are not aware of this, and they still use the calendar to start the Ramadan. So please, if you are using Saudi calendar, when it is Ramadan or Shawwal or the Hijjah, please wait for the announcement. Don't follow the calendar, because even they themselves, they put it aside during these days. Some countries, they use simply the conjunction. Anytime conjunction will start, even if it is after Maghrib, so long as the conjunction has taken place. For example, now, after Maghrib, it is say conjunction takes place at 8 o'clock. Okay? So to them, you simply start counting tomorrow. Right? They just fix this high or this far from the sun, you simply start counting. So among all these four, okay, the really Shari'i acceptable method is the one. And that is what we should also adopt here in Nigeria. Now, this is almost my last. Moon sighting in different countries look for their moon. Okay, they have what they call moon sighting committees in different regions. These moon sighting committees have some astronomers, some scholars, some judges, and some ordinary people. It's a large group of different backgrounds. So they wait, they look for the moon, and then relay their judgment to the judicial council. So usually it is the judicial council that normally makes the announcement. South Africa, you need to see their photographs. Very large groups, they go out. Sometimes 400, sometimes even 500. Okay. In Bangladesh, they use large groups. In Morocco, it's very interesting actually. They have, since of course it's a Muslim country, and they are interested in this issue, they have a specific structure. Okay, in each of the states, they select some viewing points, maybe some height, okay, or a clear where there is, there is no blockage of the horizon. Okay, there are some viewing points in each state. So in total, the whole country, they have 278 viewing points. Each of these points is 100 observers. Okay, and on the 29th of the day, all these groups, because in some of the groups they have imams, they have muazzins, they have some fuqaha there, they have some astronomers, and some common people. So everybody goes and gathers to look for the moon. And they will not make announcement until they get all the 278 reports. Okay? So if you are common, if you follow their sighting report and you are a regular observer, you see that their own reports are usually in line, with. Here in Nigeria, we have the Sultanate Committee, which also is a network of emirates. Okay, the Sultanate Committee usually it announces the 29th of the month, so that each emirate will look for the moon, and when they see, they will relay their results to the emirate. Okay, that's the Sultanate, sorry. And then there's also the National Moon Sighting Committee, which is under the Islamic Affairs. There's also members across the country in many states. So at the end of the month, announcement is also made for the members to make sure why they are. At least they collect some group of people to go and look. Of course, it's there, okay, under which umbrella we are having this meeting. There are also some individuals and some groups. So all this one, but unfortunately, there is good interconnection between these three, but sometimes there is disconnection with some of the emirates or some individuals. Okay, so we need to improve all that. So in conclusions, I say that first of all knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. It's only Allah who gives. So those who know the astronomy, those who know the stars and the manazil and what have you, it's only Allah that gave it to them. Okay, and we are humans, so whatever we can use it. Okay, beginning of lunar month must be based on actual naked sighting and not calculation. Okay, we can actual moon sighting. Our esteemed scholars and Muslim leaders learn not to be apprehensive about science and astronomy. They don't need to be afraid. Okay. It's like a medicine, just a science. Okay. In fact, sometimes you may have a local farmer who knows more about farming and agriculture than a specialist. He can tell the professor or the doctor something about agriculture that the doctor said no. Okay. The same thing about medicine. We have our own local doctors, right? Sometimes there are some diseases, until now, we use the traditional medication. Okay. So science. There are the modern and the old, but there should be no conflict between the two. So if there are some people who know astronomy and their science and knowledge is all based on practice, so based on practice that they have gathered. So we don't need to be apprehensive. Also, Muslims, alhamdulillah, have quite faith who are good Muslims. Okay, because we know that, okay, fasalu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. If there is any problem on the issue that, you cannot give the fiqh fatwa until you ask the specialist, then you have to ask the specialist. So we have people who are good in astronomy contacted for that, okay? Develop the habit of looking for the crescent every month. This is the only way we can solve the problem. But if you leave it until just Ramadan when the Sultan announced, look, and then you look for the moon, you have not seen Sha'ban, you have not seen anything. I think it's like the brother said, if you don't know Zuhur time, you just keep quiet. Just keep quiet, okay, because you are not at the beginning. So the same thing, if you didn't begin Sha'ban, or you didn't begin this, or you'll not be in the picture. Nigeria should develop a coordinated structure and streamlined system of crescent sighting and adopt a fiqh criteria for analyzing and accepting crescent sighting reports. If we do this, inshallah, we are going to be unified in the country, we are going to be unified with the world, and then we will not be, this issue of Nigerian crescent, inshallah, will, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Professor Usman Al-Nafati, with his presentation on Sharia and astronomical views of moon sighting. Because of time constraint, I think we'll jump or we'll skip comment from the audience. We just go on to questions and answers, and even at that, we are going to answer only 4 questions according to the speakers. This question goes for Malam Murtala, who is unavoidably absent, I think. He's gone. Malam Murtala not on, so Malam Saleh will have to answer this for him. Ina so ka daɗa jawo hankalin ladanai masu kiran sallah idan aka ce musu ya kuka kira lokaci bai yi ba, su ce suna ankarar da jama'a ne su shirya masalla. So Malam Saleh, bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Wannan tambaya tana da muhimmanci sosai mutane su fahimta. Ko ni da yawa na samu ladanai hadda limamai ma da suke bani wannan ansa cewa da in ce kun kira sallah lokaci bai yi ba, sai ce muna kira ne mu jira lokaci yayi kafin a tada sallah. To sai in tambaye su me ta'arifi, definition na al-adhan, i'lamun lidukhuli waqti as-salah, sanarwa ne cewa lokacin sallah ta yi. Shine ma'anan ainihin ta'arifi na kiran sallah. Kenan ba a kira sai yayi. Annabi yana gaya masahabbai, idha hadarati as-salatu falyu'adhdhin lakum ahadukum, idan lokacin sallah yayi to ɗayan ku ya kira sallah. Ke ganin sai ta yi. Inna as-salata kana al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Bazan manta ba, ina da wani malami a jami'a a Madina, ana kiran shi Abdul Aziz Al-Bu'aimi, ya ba mu labari a masallacin Madina an samu wata matsala, wani ladan ya ƙara zance ko maimakon ya kira karfe 6 daidai sai ya kira 6 saura minti 1. Ce abinda aka masa, aka yanke masa albashi na wannan watan, aka sake dakatar da shi na sati 2, aka haramta masa kiran wannan sallan har ya ƙare ladanshinsa saboda a nuna masa muhimmancin lokutan sallah kuma lokaci. Shi yasa a Saudiya ba su yadda wani masallaci a Madina ba ya kira sallah, sai kana da rediyo za a baka. Akwai abin nan hukuma mai kula da harkokin addini, su ne duk wani masallaci yana karkashin su, za su nada liman sai su ba shi rediyo. Za ka ga liman shi ne ladan, sai kada ka yadda ka kira sallah sai ka ji rediyo na a masallacin haram in Makka kake ko na Madina kafin ka kira. Sai ga ladan ko liman da rediyo sai ya fara an kira sai kashe nashi sai bude makafon din sai kira sallah. Kira kafin lokaci yayi akwai maganan izgili ga addinin musulunci, domin ba a kira sai lokaci yayi. Sa'annan kuma za a sa mata a gidaje su yi sallah lokaci bai yi ba. In kai kana jira a masallaci, mata su kuma suna da alwalansu, sun azahar suna jira ne da sun ji an ƙwanƙwasa kawai makirfan za su fara ta da sallah. kaga ka sa su yi babu kenan. A kula da wannan, malamai a ilmantar da ladanai suna da muhimmanci a addinin musulunci, kamar yadda Imamul Baihaqi hadisin Annabi sallallahu alaihi wasallama al-mu'adhdhinuna umana'un nasi, sune amintattun mutane. To idan ba su rike wannan ba, kaga sun yadda wannan wato girma da kuma falala da Annabi sallallahu alaihi wasallama ya basu. A takaice kenan wannan.
To sai dai kuma ai duk yannan yadda suke ajiyewa, ni ban taba ganin wanda ya ce to bari in kira magariba karfe 6 da minti 30 mutane su yi shiri minti 15 in ya karisa sai mu tsaida sallah ba. Kowa sai ya jira dai sai ranar ta faɗi. To ya aka yi azhar da asar ake kira a jira. To wannan dai sai na turanci malam Simwal, why is it that prayer times in the north are before other parts of the country?
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ba'd. I think it's important to note that
give thanks to Allah for the moon and the stars, praise Him all day for what is and what was. Take hold of your iman, don't give in to shaitan. Oh, you who believe, please give thanks to Allah. Allahu Ghafoor, Allahu Rahim, Allahu Yuhibbul Muhsinin.
Especially women who have lost the front teeth and they are old. There used to be one woman long ago when I was growing up. I don't want to mention her name. She has lost this tooth. And whenever she laughed, we were very small then, we used to think she's a witch. Because we thought the only witches who have those part of their teeth missing. But you know what almost confirmed that maybe she was actually a witch? She never had a child. She never had a child. She was barren. Even at that her old age, she never had a child. So in our mind, we were thinking she was a witch. Only Allah knows why we were thinking like that. So some people, just by appearance, people may mistake them to be witches, whereas they are not. Some people by birth defect, they were born maybe with one eye, or they were born with some abnormality, or they were born limping. Then people will think that they are witches. There's this video people were posting the other time about a child with one eye. Did you receive that picture? A child with one eye. In Israel, some people, hey, this is Dajjal, this is this. That's not Dajjal. How many more of such children were born? It's just a birth defect. As the doctors, they see a ratio of that every day. Some children will be born like this. Wow, you think, yes, this one must be a jinn. Well, sometimes jinns have their hands in some of these things. We can't rule it out. But the thing is, by virtue of birth, somebody with hunchback, people look at them as if they possess certain powers, right? As if they have some powers. Hunchback is a medical situation, isn't it? Now, and they look at them as, even when they die in some cultures, they don't bury them in the city. They go bury them somewhere. Sometimes they don't bury, they hang them on trees. They say they are strange creatures. These are just birth defects. Doesn't make the person to be a sorcerer or a witch. But let me tell you something. There are some professions that makes people seem as if they have certain power. Should I tell you these professions that makes people seem as if they have certain powers? Doctors. If you look at doctors very well, they are not normal. Who is a doctor here? Who is a doctor here? Doctors and nurses. If you are not careful, you will think they are not normal human beings. It started long ago from their medical school. Some of them will read books to the extent that they will go mad. I've seen one or two like that before. And some of them, they are so deep in their medical thing, they don't even know what's happening in the world apart from medicine. How many doctors do you know of that is well dressed? Watch it very well. How many doctors do you know of that knows how to dress very well? Unless he has an occasion to attend, or some of them now that have touched up very well. Long ago, doctors don't know how to dress. So if he buttons up, one hand of the shirt will be longer than the other one. You know why? It's because of his profession and his lifestyle. He's always in the hospital with sick people. Among these sick people are those who have genes amongst them. And some of the things he does, shows that he is supernatural. Rescuing a person's life is sometimes a battle to snatch somebody from the hands of death. Face to face, they see As-Sara'id almost every time. He will stand and perform operation for 5 hours. He will not get tired because this person must survive. They have something supernatural about them. I want you to watch them very well. They are not ordinary people. They are people who have seen life and they have also seen death. They have, and the nurses too, they have witnessed somebody in their presence. As-Sara'id will be taking somebody's life like this within their koro eyes. Let me put it that way. And sometimes they will try work on somebody and the person eventually dies. As soon as the person dies like this, they will just leave the person there and they start discussing. Mama Nkechi, please, when are you going to the market? I need the gushi. Buy melon for me and look at it. Can you stay in the same room with the dead person? Now you know they are not normal now. You cannot stay in the same place with a dead person. But they will just call and say, call this to come and pack this thing. They will say, go and arrange the bed. They will not say, come and carry this corpse. They say, go and arrange the bed. Meaning that take that person away, and the person looks like ordinary property in their eyes, ordinary thing. But for you, if you see a dead person, what's this? Similar to them are those who work in the mortuaries. These people they are not normal. People who cannot print complimentary card. You know what of grave diggers? Those who dig the grave. They can't print complimentary card and say, Abu Mazid, assalamu alaikum, this is my card. In case so. In case what? People who cannot do promo, buy one, get one free. Can they do promo, advertise on TV or radio and say, hello, bonanza, 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 Christmas time, New Year time, end of the year is coming, everybody, I'm a grave digger, professional. I dig grave like pro. In case anybody dies in your family, please call me. Pay for 2 graves, I dig 3 for you. They say your papa and your father, go and put your father inside. Or a print complimentary card and give you the card and say, Hajia Fauziya, please, in case you. What about your grandmother now? She's still there? Say, who's grandpa? They are similar to people who make coffins for sale. Who make coffins for sale? For sale. Bonanza, bonanza. Buy 2, get 1 free. You now come and call you back and say, hello, salaam alaikum. I just let me remind you, Ajamina. What of that your? Now you see these people, they are not normal people. A grave digger cannot come and say, they say, what's your job? I'm an engineer, you know, I'm an accountant. He can't say, I'm a grave digger. Grave killing. Now let me tell you another profession that resembles something abnormal. You almost associate. Haven't you noticed that a grave digger, when you see him, he looks different? I don't know why. It's because of our own perception, the way we look at it. This one, this grave, and you see him digging without any fear of being in the cemetery. He will finish digging and say Tonagama. Then he can look at the corpse like this without using measuring tape. He knows the length. He just look and say, okay. Then look again and okay. Then he will dig exactly to fit that person. Exactly to fit the person. He can look at a shrouded corpse and say, this is a woman. He will know this is a woman or this is a man. Allahu Akbar. Now let me tell you some other people that are not normal. We think they have supernatural power. The barbers. Those who barb heads. In this part of the world, there's a way we look at them as different. I'm not talking about these boys with these small generator sets that have 1 or 2 electric clippers around. I'm talking about real barbers. Is it Bajama do we call them? That they used for when we were in primary school. Remember that clipper, mechanic one, check it like that. It will bite in your head. You must not cry. That one, if you have dandruff in your head, it will uproot uproot the whole thing the way bulldozer will uproot some. Remember, the brothers will know what I'm talking about now. Abu Mazda, you remember that one? That take it like that. If you are not bathing regularly, that's when everybody will know, because there will be so much dandruff. You see it will be bleeding like this. They will say, let's put shelters. They put fluids in your head. Barbers, you know why? Because they deal with one aspect of human being. That hair is actually magical. People can use it for almost anything. And because of that one, the barbers are careful on how they handle it and how they bury it or whatever they do with it. Another person that's similar to them are the blacksmiths, because they are very close to the element fire. There are certain powers that the fire has only a blacksmith can understand. Ordinary person cannot. And that's why in some cultures, the blacksmith, they belong to cults. And they believe that if you don't join that cult, you can't do blacksmithing successfully. And fire now, that is where jinns were created from. So they have a lot of dealing with jinns around them. A blacksmith doesn't do his blacksmithing inside the city. Sometimes you see them away. If they're in the market, it's at the back of the market. Have you noticed? They usually are at the back of the market, and that is where they have audience with the jinns. Because of the fire that they use. The fire that they use. There are some things attached to it that makes them look as if they're very close to the jinns. Then we also have those who are the shepherds, those who rear animals. They have something very strange about them, because they talk to the animals. And the animals talk to them in a way that you can never understand unless you're a shepherd. And they know how they protect their animals, and they know how they look after the animals and protect themselves too. When they go into the bush with their animals, they know the kind of thing they confront there. They know the kind of jinns they see there, and they know how they protect themselves from these jinns. Ordinary person like you and I, who only eat meat, we don't know what they go through. And let me tell you another one. Are you with me now? Actors and musicians, they are also abnormal. Those who have gifts of singing, they have something about them that is different from other people. And some of them, if they are not careful, they are just in between, a small line between sanity and madness. They can just sit down like this and song will start coming to their heads. Where that song is coming from, they don't know. It just keep coming, and as it's coming, they have to either start singing immediately or they start writing it down. If not, it will be wiped off. Another one will come. And that's why traditionally, those who don't have Iman amongst them, you see them, they join cults. They use names of spirits. They drag them, they say, look, if you don't join this thing, that jinn that give, they think it's jinn that give them song. That jinn that give you song will not supply you again. And so you see them, they have different names. They call their jinns. There's this one in, it came from a village not far from Abu Mazida's village. Aja Kafila. Where is she? Aja Kafila Ahmad. There's one that came from a place not far from your village. He calls his own jinn Anunu Manu. What musician is that? What? Anunu Manu. He normally calls on that one to go and bring song for him. To bring song for him. That's the name of the jinn he uses. And so many of them have their different jinns like that. After all of you know this one now that died some time ago from America. What? Yes, that's one of them. Yes, the one that green, that one too. Tall. May Allah have mercy on us. You see those boys, as young as they are, these things just destroy them. After a while, if they don't have Iman, it is very destructive, because there's something about them that is not so normal. And you see some of them, you wonder, you see are so abnormal. This one will go into reggae. Then you see one dreadlock like that will, nobody needs to tell you that this one is not normal. With all of the power of marijuana and everything, you see they just go to the other side of the world. And before you know, they start talking to people you can't even see. Oh, Allahu Akbar. Now, I've mentioned some of these professions. That's not to say that they are jinns. So I'm just saying that some of the things they do have something that makes us look at them as if they have magical powers. Let me mention the last one for you before I go into something that's going to interest all of you. The executioner. You know who an executioner is? People who are in charge of cutting people's heads, or shooting people at firing squad, or hanging people that are condemned to death. These are human beings too, but we infer to them as if they are not normal human beings. Have you heard somebody come to public and say, I'm an executioner? And say, I kill people. He won't come out and say that. Even if he walks where there's guillotine or a rope for hanging people, he will not tell anybody. And then there are some places in the world today that they still use sword to cut people's head. They call them executioners. You don't look at them and think they belong to the normal group of human beings. Why? Because there's something magical about these people. Are dealing with souls. They are dealing with human life. And that's why you see them like that. Now, what are these magical spirits that some deal with? We have those who have what we call ancestral worship, those who worship their ancestors. In most of your tribes, you have people who worship ancestors, isn't it? They have those spirits that they believe. Some people died and they thought these people performed miracles before they died. Some people died, maybe they died in a very mysterious ways. Or some people died of sudden attack of accident. When they die, people believe that their spirits are still hanging around. There are some legendary stories in your village you must have heard of. They will say, this one got angry and killed himself. They will say a particular great king, he was so great, so strong, and then he killed himself by hanging himself. After his death, people will begin to worship him as an ancestor. This happens. It's jinns that confuses people to begin to do that. Or somebody died violent, unexpected death. They will say his spirit is still moving around because he was not supposed to have died. And so you see the person's Quran roaming up and down and creating confusion for the people. In fact, the place where the person died may become haunted. When people go there, they'll start perceiving certain senses of some evil spirits around. We also have those who worship the jinns themselves. Now, this is how it happens now. That's the second category of magical spirits. Those who worship jinns, they worship or they use the jinns that have been tamed, the way you tame animals. I don't even understand what I mean. You know, some wild animals, you now tame them, like horses, for example. You tame a horse so that you can ride behind the horse. If you get a horse from the jungle where it belongs, it will not allow you to ride. Now, these jinns, they were able to gather them and tame some of them and make them to become domesticated. In some families, they have certain jinns they worship in their family. They have domesticated that jinn. Some soothsayers and sorcerers, or some malams, or some sheikhs, they have some jinns they have tamed and they use that jinn. That jinn, according to the other jinns like it, they refer to that jinn as Ma'nus. What did I say? Ma'nus means somebody that has been possessed by human beings. As for a human being that has been tamed and used by a jinn, we call that person Majnun. What did I call it? Majnun means somebody that has been possessed by jinns. A jinn that has been possessed by a human being is called Ma'nus. Now, a Ma'nus and a Majnun, there's a way they work. For example, now, somebody subscribes his soul to the jinn. You are taming that jinn and the jinn is taming you. The jinn may require some things from you and he will give you some things in exchange. For example, the jinn will say, I will go and steal money and bring to you so that you'll be rich. But you are going to be giving me the blood of everybody in your family every year. One person in your family every year. That's what you are going to pay me back with. So they say the person has done medicine for money. So the jinn will go and steal. If you suddenly kept money and the money disappears, it's some of those that came to steal them. They will steal it and then they go and give it to that man whose relative is supposed to be killing every year, including his mother. So that one is called Manus. That jinn that is going to carry money is called Manus. And that jinn is also calling that man Majnun, because he goes crazy at the end of the day. That's what ends it up. Now, what are some of the rites, magical rites, for conjuring this magic, bringing about these jinns and creating havoc in the lives of people? I don't know if they have done it to you before, but you have seen it before, that they use magic or they use sorcery to turn somebody's life to the other side. They have certain rites and rituals. One of them is the ritual language. That's the language they use. Sometimes they call it spell. What's the meaning of spelling? When they say to spell something, means you spell it out, right? If you want to spell a book, you say B-O-O-K. That's book. You are spelling book. Now, if they say they cast a spell on somebody, that means they have spelled out what should be happening to that person by virtue of the sorcery they use against that person. Now, you see them, they have a lot of these languages that are sacred to them. Sometimes it sounds like proverb. Sometimes it sounds like poetry. Sounds like anything. Like in many cultures, they have them. And then sometimes they have other materials they have to make it sound very real. They can be shaking something like that, and they'll be making incantation. That's what they call it, incantation. How do they? Can somebody give us an example of incantation in their language? They will say something like, whatever I say is what's going to be. Whatever I say is what's going to be. No frog will ever somersault backwards. No snail will ever go in reverse. It's not possible. No duvet will ever have a pocket. It's not possible. No cover cloth will ever have a pocket. If you throw a knife up, it must land on its side. No. They will continue. If we say we should catch today, it's tomorrow we are going to catch. Something like that. Don't you have it in your language? And some of you are very good at it. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Then they have the time they do incantation. Sometimes it's at night, dead of the night, midnight. They have special times. Apart from the midnight, they have some other periods in the month that they do these rituals. These are laid down. Most of them they use lunar months. Sometimes they have some specific places where they do it. They do it at crossroads. They do it at cemeteries. Are you with me now? They do it in the jungles. They do it at marshes. They do it at rubbish heaps. These are places where jinns can be found. That is where you see them do these rituals. And wherever they do rituals of worshipping idol in your place, you see the place usually dirty. Because among the places that jinns like to stay are these dirty places. During these rituals, they use certain materials, they use certain herbs that they pick in certain order. In fact, some of them, they pick these herbs in such a way that they have separate fingers for picking separate leaves. They usually go very early in the morning. Around that Subi time, they go and cut the leaves they will use. And some of them will go early like that because their shadows must not be casted on the leaf they are going to use. If not, the charm will catch up with them. So they go before the sun comes out. And they pick the one they will pick. Some of them, they have incantations while they are picking. And some of them, the jinns will go with them and tell them which one they should pick. Now they combine these leaves and herbs. And sometimes they use it for charms. Now there's nothing wrong with using leaves and herbs if it is for curative and healing method. But in most instances, it is something else. Now they use dirty things, excretors, nails of people, hair of people. If you spit and they can pack your spitting, they are going to use it against you. Sometimes they pack excretors. When somebody has eased himself, they will pack the shit. And this one they call the magic of two types of magic. There's the magic of, they call sympathetic magic, or the contagious magic. The magic of similarity is one we call that sympathetic magic. Meaning that something that is similar to something, they use it to attract something or to make something to happen. For example, if somebody should make an idol, a doll that looks like you, If they break that door's leg, your own leg will be broken too. If they hit something on that door's head, you too will be having headache where you are. Then the contagious magic is the one when they take something from your body. Anything they do with that thing will affect you wherever you are. If they take your hair, they can use it to concoct something that will affect you. The type they did to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If they take your fingernails, they can make the charm to go and look for you. If they have your pictures, they can also use it. Those of you who are fond of pictures, they can just look at your picture and put whatever they will put on it. If you like, run away. Anywhere you are on earth, the jinn will find you. Either by virtue of looking at your picture or anything, it will not miss you. Now you see people, they will show their pictures anyhow. They will just take your picture and use it for something. Then they have other things that they use, orishirishi things like that, very strange things. They will say the eyes of an owl, the fingernails of a dog, what other thing? The placenta of a goat, the teeth of a bat. What other thing they say? The money sheet of a pregnant goat. Orishirishi things like that. Very strange thing. They will ask for them because those are the things that the jinns were asking for. Now they will put all of these things together and they will blow on it and something will start happening to somebody. Some other times they use keys, they use mirror, they use medicine bags, they use comb, they use feathers, they use stones of all sorts, they use bones. Sometimes they use skull and skeleton. And they wear all of these things they will wear and they do everything that they will do, and lo and behold, something will start happening to you. How does it work? And how does it happen? Some of these things, I want to ask you whether you believe in them or not. Because, look at it this way. When you enter the hand of these sorcerers, for example, they will psych you up and down. They will look at you very well. And they can guess what your problems are. If you are very rich, they will tell you certain things that will make them to get the money from you. And they will observe how important that problem is to you. They also observe you very well. They will psych you up to know how gullible you are. And they will tell you, go and use this thing, come back and tell me what you see in your dream. And you see certain things in your dream that are pursuing you or running after you. So when you come back to them, they say, yes, those are your enemies. You see, they were almost catching up with you. That's how they will catch up with you if you don't do this and do this and do that. In fact, they will say you should thank God that you came at this time. If not, so they will psych you up and see how gullible you can be, how much things they can tell you and you will believe. For some women, these people will sleep with them. They will have sexual intercourse with them, with the women. They say, look, this thing I'm going to do for you, it's in your private part, we are going to do it. And the way this thing is going to get there is when I pour it inside for you. And the easiest way of me to pour it inside is I will drink it, then I'll pour it through my chairman. And before you know it, the woman will agree. Sometimes they will hypnotize her. She will not know what she's doing. Allahu Akbar. So many women are falling prey to this. So many. Women, why don't you stay in one place? They will have slept with her before she even realizes. Some will never believe it. If you say, but this man slept with you, she will say, never. He never touched me. Whereas these people know what they do one way or the other. For those of you who are running up and down, you are going to be hypnotized and they will ensure that you cooperate with them. And after that time, because you have sold your soul to them, you become their customer. From time to time, you go with one problem, they'll give you 6. And you continue to see things in your life that will keep taking you back to them. And you keep believing that what they do is actually working. Now, I want to ask you now, what if you don't believe these things? Will they still work? I want to ask you this one. Can you answer that question? Okay, let's say, for example, Prophet said, Man atta kahinan, whoever should go to a sorcerer, or sahiran, or a magician, fasaddaqahu, and you believe in what he said, fasaddaqahu bima yakul, you believe what they told you, faqad kafara bima unzila ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have become a kafir to what has been revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the question is, what if you don't believe it? Will it happen to you? The Oyibo people, some of them who don't believe in this thing, does it happen to them? I want you to tell me, I want to think very deeply. Does it happen to them? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, now, some people are gifted with healing power and abilities. Do you believe that? There are some people who are just gifted. That's the way they were born. They can look at you and say, this headache that you have, why don't you take this leaf? They will bring this leaf, mash it together and tell you to drink, and you get well. Something inside their mind will tell them that you have a problem. I've told you before, one of my friends, I don't want to mention his name, he said his mother would look at a pregnant woman like this and say, this woman is 2 months pregnant. And if you ask that woman, she will confirm that it's like that. She said his mother is so gifted to the extent that she will look at the person and say, please, when you give birth to this your baby girl, I want you to name her so and so. And the woman will be like, how did you know it's a baby girl I'm carrying? She'll say, I know, I can see. I can see. Some people have that gift. That's where they were born. What I cannot tell you is whether it is a gene that's actually telling her, or maybe it's Allah that's telling her. I cannot tell you that one. But this brother, I asked him, do you also have the gift too? He said he doesn't have it, but his own sisters have it. That is hereditary from their mother, passed on to the daughters. Maybe and maybe so. Some people are gifted like that. So some people have power, healing power, to look at you and to pray for you, and the prayer will be answered. Some people are gifted like that. I don't want to deny that. You understand? Some people can look at you and know what is wrong with you, and they will advise you. What is wrong with you in terms of healing, not in terms of telling you what will happen tomorrow. There are two different things. Women, are you following what I'm saying? Now, what I want to ask you now is, do you believe that some people can mix some things together and call it love potion and it will work? Do you believe that love potion is real or not? I'm asking. Anybody out there who believes love potion? Have you seen it work before? Some of you don't want to answer me. It works sometimes. They call it psychological magic. Love potion works. So let me tell you an example of the one that somebody told me that worked. But it does expire, yes. There's this guy whose elder brother died. And the elder brother, one of the wives of the elder brother, was just married barely a year. A very young lady. They now asked him to marry her. And he refused. He said no, he has his own wife. And he's not ready to marry many wives like his brother. They said, please marry her. So they invited him to the village to come and talk to him. Some elderly people talked to him and he said, look, with due respect, I'm not interested. They were begging him. One elderly man there said, leave him alone. He said he's not interested. Is he by force? Leave him alone. He said he's not interested. They said, thank you, Baba. I'm not interested. I have my own wife. I'm living in the city and I don't want to marry two wives. In fact, it's difficult to maintain two wives. When the woman finishes her Ida, let her go and marry somebody else. When they allowed him to go, they said, well, then he went. 3 months after the lady finished her Ida, the young man came back and was going from house to house to go and meet those elderly men that they should please allow him to marry her. They should please allow him to marry her. Then the elderly people now gathered together and called him and said, okay, but you are the one who said you don't want her. Now why are you coming back to say we should have said? He said since the day he left, he had not slept without dreaming about her. Then that elderly man that said they should leave him alone, the other said, did I not tell you to leave him alone? I told you people it's not by force. He will come and marry her by himself. Did I not tell you? Now he has come now. You are still wasting his time. Won't you give him the lady and let him marry her? It was after they had 2 children. The brother was now wondering, but when did I marry this woman? When people talk about polygamy, he never thought that he had 2 wives. When people say polygamy, you normally think, okay, people just... He didn't know. After 2 children, before he realized that he actually had 2 wives. Now, love potion, does it work or not? Well, if it has never worked with you, it can work. People have ways of using jinn to do it. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Don't doubt it. Don't threaten somebody that over my dead body. If a man comes to toast you and you don't want him, be very polite about it. If you want to do it gra, the man will call jinn against you. In fact, it is when you are doing 95th birthday that you remember that you married the man. 95th birthday, when there will be no teeth again. I love you. When did I say I love you? Then there's the wealth ritual that people make. Do you believe it or not? What do they call it in your language? Ogunwowo, they call it in your language. Oshole, Awure. There are many names they call it. Do you believe it or not? I've just mentioned it to you now that jinns go to steal money and bring it to them in exchange for something. You understand? So many people go mad as a result of that. So many people sell their soul, and so many people guarantee their hellfire because of that. There was one like that. The one they did for him, they said, if you want really to be rich, the condition this jinn is giving you is that you will not observe Friday prayers. You will not observe Jumat. And truly, the man sell cars. Long ago, he used to sell cars. He's late now. He used to sell cars, but on Fridays, he would just drive out. People would think he's going for Jumat, but you will not pray Jumat. You will not pray. That's the one they did for him, that you must never pray Jumat. There's another one they did for him. They said, anytime you finish performing ablution, you should touch your private part before you go for salat. You know what that means now? You no ablution and no salat, so hellfire is guaranteed. That's the condition they gave him. There was another one. They said if he wants to continue to be rich, part of what he will do is he will stand on the Quran, open a particular portion of the Quran, open it like this, put his leg on this page, put his leg on that page, naked. Then he should say whatever he wants to say, and he will open a particular box and he will find money inside, and that's what it is. This is how people sell their souls to the jinns. Let me tell you another one. Protection. Bulletproof. Do you believe that one? What do they call it? This one they tie on the arm for protection. The hair. You have it in your village. What do you call it? Bekude, Ayeta, Onde, Egbe, Aluwo. There are many names they call this. What do they call it? Udeshi. What? Udeshi. That's the name they call it. Subhanallah. Igbo call it Udeshi. That's bulletproof. Wait, I'm asking you, can you use bulletproof against the soldier? Against the army? The army holding gun, you now say bulletproof, shoot me. And Nasarawa, bulletproof. So that you believe it actually works. Oh, okay. What of this one? They'll say if they stab somebody, the knife will not enter the skin. It works. But why have we not been selling it and export it to developed countries? We should be exporting it now if it works. No packaging. They need a bank to sponsor the project. Nonsense. This too much secrecy. That's what makes you to know that this thing has to do with jinn or sorcery. When you see too much secrecy around it, that means this is haram. It means it is haram. I hope you understand. Some people may do it and it seems to work, but you don't know what they have subscribed to. They kind of think their souls have been sold into. But, well, you people have just said that these things work. Oh, I never used it before. Maybe some of you have used this thing before. Oh, you have seen it before. That means you have seen somebody make money medicine and he got rich. Somebody used bulletproof and bullet didn't pierce him. They have not used machine gun. Listen to this very well. Engineer has just, he disappeared. Can a person disappear? You raise one leg like this, then nobody will see you. Hey, if I could do that one, there'll be no meat left in my wife's kitchen. There's another one. Wait. There's another one that happened so many years ago. They said somebody can. In fact, it happened in Kinshasa in 2008. Police arrested 14 people suspected of penny snatching. You remember when people snatch people's chairman? They'll say it will either disappear or to shrink. Was it real? Yes. They said it happened in Nigeria some time ago. In Ghana, about 12 people were beaten to death because of that. Did it happen in Nigeria too? Did it really happen? They beat them to death because they did they removed somebody's chairman. Do they bring it back? They return it? As in they bring it like this? Oh, you mean it actually disappeared? They didn't see anything there? No chairman, just... Now, how does this thing work now? It is genes they use, right? It could be illusion, right? It could be an illusion because maybe the thing didn't really disappear. The person that's saying it's has disappeared, ask him how big was it before. But what I'm saying is, these are activities of people who use genes. Now, let me ask you this. This one concerns the ladies a lot. They also stole this one too. Somebody's watermelon will just become tangerine. They will say they snatch it from the person. Allah knows best. Now, there's this one about a lady will lie down and then something will press her down like this. Is that one real? A lady will sleep and somebody will press her down. She wants to shout, she can't shout. She wants to talk, she can't talk. She wants to scream, she can't scream. Even if she's shouting, somebody next to her will not hear her shout. Is it real or not? What is responsible for that? What? It happens to men too. Oh, I'm happy you said that. It happens to men also. Something will press you down, you will shout, nothing will answer, nobody will hear. What do they call it in your language?
They said it's
Now let me tell you, there are two explanations to this. Are you with me now? Are you ready to listen? There are two explanations. Explanation A is that it's a gene that actually press you down, sometimes to sleep with the woman. But when you said even a man experienced it, that now brings us to explanation 2. It is called sleep paralysis. The doctors know this very well. Yes, sleep paralysis happens when you lay on your back and your spine remains like that for a long time. So it's going to deaden some senses in your body and you start having some hallucination. It happens when you lay on your back. And that's why the Prophet said we should lay on our sides, isn't it? The Prophet said when you want to sleep, lay on your right side because your heart is here. Don't let your heart be to the ground. It will pump normally and you are going to sleep sound. But when you lay on your back, your heart is somewhere there, but your spine, because of the activity of spinal cord, no, it's just paralysis. Come on, get off it. Sleep the way the Prophet says to sleep. And so many of you will lay down your back.
You look at the wall, you see how
as if you slept with a real man or a real human being. That is one explanation. They say when that happens, a gene. The second explanation is that it is not a gene, it's just natural. They call it nocturnal emission. Boys experience this. They dream that they sleep with somebody. When they are just reaching maturity age, they have wet dreams because their nature, their natural composition is developing and positioning itself for sex. And so young boys, They begin to have wet dreams. Some of them 13, 14, maybe earlier than that nowadays. You see those who are good Muslims among them, that's when they start asking us so many questions about ghusl, about janaba. That's the time they begin to, they will not tell you they are fathers. But they come and tell us, we who talk to them, they say, hey, I want to pray subuh now, but I saw something in my dream. How am I going to? Now for the girls, when you also reach the age of maturity, that natural inclination will make you to start thinking about that activity. And so you start seeing in the dream a lady who has reached the age of a man sleeping with her without husband. She will continue to experience that one as a means of natural release of the tension of the urge. That's another explanation they give it. I hope you understand. Similarly, a woman who is far from her husband, or the husband travels a lot, she'll be having that dream once in a while. Or a marriage where the husband is there but they are not very active, she'll be having that experience. So what should you do? Go and get married. So stop complaining that the jinn is sleeping with you. You go and look for him now. And then you tell him to be coming gradually from time to time. He should be coming from time to time. Now, are you with me now, brothers and sisters? Let's quickly round up. From what we are saying now, you all know that some of these things work. Some of these. Sometimes it is as a result of the genes. Sometimes it is not as a result. Please don't. Sometimes as a result of the genes, sometimes it's not. Let me tell you some of the things that are either or they are not. These two examples I gave you are some of them. A woman says something is sleeping with her. It may be a jinn, it may not be a jinn. The thing we know is go and get married and always do dua before you sleep. A person that has mental problem, I want to listen to this very attentively. A person that has mental problem as a result of drugs, sometimes we blame the jinn instead of blaming the drug that he's taking. Now, which of these names sound like the name of a jinn? Heineken. Quarreling and fighting with everybody in the neighbor. Is it jinn? Sometimes. Really? You think it can happen like that? That makes a woman to be quarreling up and down. Okay, there's this one. They said, what did you call assassinate? Assassin. Okay, to cast a spell. Wait. Oh, remote control. These jinns must really be trying. They are to be blamed for everything. Okay, let me give you this example. Husband and wife, listen to this attentively. Husband and wife, they quarrel. They just gave birth to a baby not more than 3 months. 3 months old baby. There was this very hot quarrel between them. And lo and behold, the man beat the woman blue black. As the man wanted to go out of the house, he beat her and thinking that he can just walk away. The woman looked for what to throw at him. She grabbed pressing iron and flung it towards him, like that. The man dodged it and it went to land on the baby on the bed, on the head. Just pop like that. The baby's head busted. Was it jinn that did it? Is it remote control? Now, I'm not taking side with the jinns, but I just want us to think very well. Some of these things we put on. So is it remote control that made him to do that one? Made her to do that. Now, the two of them, you see, look at them. They open their mouth like that. They cry and cry. When the head is gone, dead with bad friends, evil neighbors, colleagues from Jahannama. Those are the kind of people you have around you. You have people around you that envy you a lot. You have people around you that gossip you about you a lot. You have people around you that are so poor in poverty. What are you going to do? Yeah, they are very poor in poverty because even the poor people call them poor. They are so poor that poor people say they are poor. If you find yourself in this environment, Are you going to blame it on the genes, or you should just move away from that place? They don't like you. They don't speak well about you. They don't appreciate what you do. They don't inspire you in anything good. Even if you buy a dress, they will be envious of you. You can buy a car, you'll be afraid of bringing it to your compound because of envy. Any day you wear a new shoe, they'll be saying, hey, now wow, new shoe. What kind of people are those? Any day you carry a new bag or you wear a new hijab, they'll be looking and saying, you bought new hijab. Doing good things among such people is such a strange thing. You know what I would advise you to do? Don't blame it on genes. Do hijrah away from that place. Move away from people who are not progressive. Some of you are in families that don't care what you do. They don't care how you survive. They don't care what goes on in your life. They don't care what worries you or what bothers your future. These people are not interested in anything good about you. Are you going to sit down and say it's your destiny? What are you going to do? Okay, suppose these people I've mentioned, they are your families. Some people are unluckily, unfortunately, from the kind of family that don't care what happens to them. There are some families, they don't want to know whether you are rich or you are poor, but they prefer to be seeing you every day. Any slight progress in your life, they'll start speaking against it. So much so that, Allah Akbar, some of you don't like to go to your villages. And if you go, you don't wear new dresses when you go. Some of you don't even go with your children. Because by the time they see your children, say, these are children like this. What are you giving them to eat? Then the evil eye will begin to work on your children. Your children will begin to fall sick. Your husband will lose his job. And you, the wife, they will say you are the one that has wrecked his life. If you have such a family, what are you going to do? Blame it on the genes? What? You send money to them and keep them at distance. Well, you should join family ties, but you know what can we do? Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to tell you what to do. When you have people around you that refuse to help you when you are in a bad situation, is that bad luck? Anytime you are broke, all of them will be broke. When you are looking for a job, they will say we just employed somebody yesterday. When you queue at ATM to collect money, when you get to your time, the machine will say temporarily out of service. Is it bad luck or genes? It's bad luck. When you go to the hospital, they say the doctor just left. When you go to collect drugs, they say they just collected the last dose. And when you went to the chemist shop to buy, they will say the chemist's uncle just died. He has traveled. The person to borrow you money, armed robber came to their house yesterday. The person to give you job, he just lost his own job. He got his sack letter yesterday. Is that genes or bad luck? When you are looking for admission, they admitted 30 people. And then your name is number 31. What? Have you seen somebody with bad luck before? Tell me, have you seen? If you look well, you see a lot of people going around like that. They look like they have bad luck. Have you noticed? May Allah save us. This thing, do you know the funniest part of it? The funniest part of it is that it's not funny at all. That's the funniest thing about it. There are some human beings, you actually look at them, they look like bad luck. Nothing works for them. Look, if he buys a car, the engine will knock the following day. And if he buys the one, the engine will not knock. It is at the time he packed it that an Amra will come and steal it. He has been doing contribution for the whole year. When they already now finally give to him, he now pack his own contribution. That was when somebody stole his money. And sometimes they will not steal the money. The moment he gets a lot of money like this, he will just fall sick until when that money finishes, before he will recover. The day that money finishes like this, then he will start getting well. What are you going to call that one? As a good Muslim, how do you explain it? In other words, it means things are happening, no? Things are happening, no?
Give thanks to Allah for the moon and the stars. Praise.
Very important pillar in Islam. In fact, it is one of the most important pillars in Islam. So the paper is going to tell us about the beginning and ending times of prayers. I will try to define the 5 daily prayers we have, namely Salat al-Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. And the paper was further to explain scientifically the starting and ending of each prayer time by using the sun's movement. Like I said, the daily prayer is a Muslim, so it's very important. We'll take a case study in Nigeria and we'll look at the major problems we face at times is and Salat al-Isha. Why? For obvious reasons. It has to do with when the sun has just crossed the zenith. That is the highest point of all physical features. So it's same thing applies to Salat al-Maghrib, which is a very clear Salat al the major problem with the time. Usually on certain time, specifically, I would like to mention June 23rd. Based on solar movement, solar calendar. So the solar calendar, unlike the new Islamic calendar, is based on the sun, fixed in the sun, whereby if you sun of Kaduna is 8 minutes past a.m. in the morning. If by Allah's mercy we're alive next year, same date, the 10th of May 2017, check sunrise time, it's going to be exactly the same as it is today. That is 8 minutes. In most cities in Nigeria, time for is from 4 o'clock upwards. To be specific, for the city of Kaduna, 6 after. And on these days, around major cities, find mosques, different mosques praying Asr for that period. Because usually they have a fixed time. Some they fix it at 3:30, some 4:34, and some 4 o'clock. So it's very important that we observe the actual prayer time. And Salatul Isha, it is a bigger problem because I said Salatul Asr is usually in the month of January to March and between 23rd of June 23rd of July. Salatul Isha is throughout the year. Because of the light pollution in cities, it is practically And usually this instance happens at a certain period, which I'm going to discuss later in the paper. And for Salatul Isha, we've seen instances whereby some mosques pray Salatul Isha 30 minutes after sunset, which is way before the actual time for Salatul Isha. To be precise, the earliest time and the safest time for Salatul Isha cannot be less than 60 minutes after sunset, to avoid mistakes in this part of the world that we are. So I will not take much of our time to the paper. I'd like to quickly mention this ayah in the Quran that is of great importance to waqt as-salah, that's prayer time. Allah said in the Quran, "Inna as-salata kanat 'alal mu'minina kitaban mawquta." Verily, salat is enjoined on the believers. So, not just fix your salat al-asr time at 3:45, because only the Almighty has the power to ordain the time for prayers. So it's very important to observe that. The hadith of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, the famous hadith about the prayer time, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Jibril led me in prayers twice by the Kaaba. The first time we prayed Zuhur, when the shadow was like the tongue of a shoe. The tongue of a shoe, it's just like the strap of a sandal. A strap of a sandal. Then we prayed Asr, when the shadow of everything was equal to it. And Maghrib after sunset, when the fasting person breaks his fast. That is after the sun has set. And Isha, when the twilight disappeared. That is when the Shafaq, the redness. In terms of Shafaq, I would like to explain further at a later point in my presentation that we have two different twilights. There's the disappearance of the red twilight, which occurs first, and the later one is the disappearance of the white twilight. And let me continue with the hadith. And he said we prayed Fajr when one who fasts is forbidden food or drink. The second time, that is the following day, over later period than they prayed earlier in the previous day. And he said we prayed Fajr when the earth was well lit. That is when the sky was quite bright. Then Jibril alayhi salam turned to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and said, this was the time observed, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this was the time observed by the prophets before you. And the time of prayers, the 5 daily prayers, are between these two times. The hadith is reported by Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Dawud. So from the hadith, it's obvious and quite that we have the early Zuhr, Salat al-Asr, and there's a later for Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Zuhr, Salat al-Asr, and Salat al-Isha. This hadith, Imam Muslim. The scientific aspect. like I mentioned. Like I said earlier, the first three prayers are directly affected by the sun's movement. Unfortunately, the slide is